Stop pouring that beet juice down the drain. The way you are currently drinking it makes most of it useless. You likely purchased it for circulation, blood pressure, and nitric oxide. But after the age of 60, your body converts almost none of it. The enzyme pathway slowed down years ago. The oral bacteria that trigger the conversion have died off due to mouthwash, medications, and dry mouth. Consequently, the nitrates pass straight through you and out the other end. The one compound you actually paid for never even touches your blood vessels. Take my patient, a 68-year-old man who drank beet juice daily for 3 years for his circulation. He still had cold hands, numb feet, and high blood pressure while on 2 drugs. When I tested his nitric oxide, it was in the bottom tier. Despite 3 years of juice, his body converted nearly nothing. He was essentially drinking expensive purple water and getting robbed. I added 5 ingredients to that same glass and changed nothing else. Within 4 weeks, his nitric oxide doubled. His blood pressure dropped enough that his doctor was able to cut a medication. His hands became warm and his feet turned pink. He could walk past 2 blocks without his calves seizing up. Those 5 ingredients fix what beet juice cannot do alone. They restore the conversion pathway, shield the nitrates from your stomach acid, feed the oral bacteria that start the first conversion step, and stack compounds that push nitric oxide far past what beets ever reach by themselves. The $63 billion supplement industry sells nitric oxide boosters in $50 bottles when 5 cheap ingredients added to the juice you already buy can double the effect for pennies. They need you to stay ignorant because ignorance means repeat customers. Stay with me through this entire list because ingredient number 3 restores the exact bacterial step your body lost after 60. Without it, the other 4 barely move the needle. Every source is listed in the description below. Before we get into it, I want to know who I am talking to. Drop your age and your country in the comments. I read and answer every single one myself. Now let's start with ingredient number 5. Add this to your beet juice, and it shields the nitrates from getting destroyed before they ever reach your blood. Number 5, hawthorn berry extract. This is one of the oldest heart remedies in the world, and yet most people have never even heard of it. Hawthorn berry has been used in European and Chinese medicine for centuries to support the heart and improve circulation. But this is not just folk medicine anymore. Modern science has caught up, and what researchers have found is genuinely impressive. A major meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Medicine reviewed 14 randomized controlled trials involving over 1,000 patients with chronic heart failure. The results showed that hawthorn extract significantly improved exercise tolerance by about 16% compared to a placebo. It also improved symptoms of fatigue and shortness of breath. That matters because after 60, reduced exercise tolerance is one of the earliest signs that your blood flow is compromised. Your muscles are not getting enough oxygen, and your heart is struggling to keep up with demand. So what is hawthorn actually doing inside your body? It contains powerful compounds called oligomeric proanthocyanidins, but let us just call them OPCs. These OPCs work by strengthening the walls of your blood vessels and reducing inflammation in the endothelium. The endothelium is the thin inner lining of every blood vessel in your body. Think of it like the non-stick coating inside a pan. When that lining is healthy, blood flows smoothly. When it is damaged or inflamed, things start to stick, clot, and slow down. Hawthorn helps protect and repair that lining. A 2012 study in the journal Phytomedicine found that hawthorn extract increased coronary blood flow by 22% in animal models and significantly reduced oxidative stress markers. Now here is why this matters specifically when you add it to beet juice. Beet juice provides the raw material for nitric oxide production, the dietary nitrates. But if your blood vessel walls are inflamed and damaged, your body cannot use that nitric oxide efficiently. It is like pouring premium fuel into a car with a clogged engine. Hawthorn clears the path. It reduces the inflammation and oxidative damage that block nitric oxide from doing its job. Another study published in Cardiovascular Therapeutics showed that patients taking 900 milligrams of hawthorn extract daily for 8 weeks experienced a measurable improvement in endothelial function, which is your blood vessel's ability to relax and expand. The improvement was around 18% compared to the control group. That is significant, especially for someone over 60 whose endothelial function has been declining for years. So how do you use it? The easiest way is to get a standardized hawthorn berry extract in powder or liquid form. Look for one that is standardized to contain at least 2% Vitexin or 18% OPCs. Add about half a teaspoon of the powder or one full dropper of the liquid extract directly into your beet juice. Stir it well. The flavor is mildly tart and slightly sweet, so it blends in without ruining the taste. You want to take this consistently every day because hawthorn's benefits are cumulative. It builds up over weeks. Most studies show noticeable effects starting around week 3 or 4. Drink your hawthorn beet juice in the morning on an empty stomach for the best absorption. Your body absorbs the active compounds more efficiently when there is no food competing for attention in your digestive system. This is your foundation ingredient. It prepares your blood vessels to receive everything else we are about to add. The next ingredient takes things to a completely different level. Number 4, raw cacao powder. When I say chocolate is good for your heart, I am not talking about the sugar-loaded candy bar in the checkout aisle. I am talking about raw cacao powder, the pure, unprocessed form of chocolate before the sugar and milk and processing strip away all the good stuff. This is one of the most powerful cardiovascular ingredients on the planet, and the research behind it is staggering. A landmark study published in the journal Circulation by Harvard researchers followed over 21,000 participants and found that those who consumed flavanol-rich cacao regularly had a 37% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and a 29% lower risk of stroke. Those are not small numbers. Those are the kind of results that pharmaceutical companies spend billions trying to achieve with drugs. The magic behind cacao is its incredibly high concentration of flavanols, particularly a compound called epicatechin. Epicatechin directly stimulates the production of nitric oxide in your blood vessels. Remember, nitric oxide is the molecule that tells your vessels to relax and widen. A study from the University of California, San Francisco gave participants 46 grams of high flavanol dark chocolate daily for 2 weeks. The result was a 30% increase in blood flow, measured by flow-mediated dilation. Flow-mediated dilation is the gold standard test for how well your blood vessels can expand when they need to. A 30% improvement in just 14 days is extraordinary. Now think about what happens when you combine this with beet juice. The beets give you dietary nitrates that convert into nitric oxide through one specific pathway in your body. The cacao stimulates nitric oxide production through a completely different pathway through the endothelial cells themselves. You are essentially activating 2 separate engines of nitric oxide production at the same time. A 2015 study in the British Journal of Nutrition confirmed this synergistic effect. When nitrate-rich foods were consumed alongside flavanol-rich cacao, the combined nitric oxide response was significantly greater than either one alone. The researchers measured an increase of approximately 40% in plasma nitrite levels compared to nitrates alone. For someone over 60, this is particularly valuable because aging reduces your body's ability to produce nitric oxide through any single pathway. By activating multiple pathways simultaneously, you are compensating for what time has taken away. And there is another benefit that does not get enough attention. Cacao is one of the richest food sources of magnesium on Earth. Just 2 tablespoons of raw cacao contain about 52 milligrams of magnesium. Magnesium is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, and many of those are directly involved in blood vessel relaxation and blood pressure regulation. Studies show that nearly 68% of adults over 60 are deficient in magnesium. So every time you add cacao to your beet juice, you are also filling a critical nutritional gap. To use it, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw, unsweetened cacao powder directly into your beet juice. Make sure the label says raw cacao, not cocoa. Cocoa has been processed at high heat, which destroys a large percentage of the flavanols. Blend it rather than just stirring because cacao powder can clump. The taste is rich and slightly bitter, but combined with the earthiness of beet juice, it actually creates a surprisingly pleasant flavor profile. Now, ingredient number 3 is something you probably already have in your fridge. Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe. There's even bigger insight right after this. Number 3, fresh ginger root. Ginger has been used for thousands of years across virtually every culture on Earth for its healing properties. But it is only in the last 2 decades that researchers have really started to understand why it works so well for blood flow, especially in older adults. The primary active compound in ginger is called gingerol. When you eat or drink fresh ginger, gingerol enters your bloodstream and does something remarkable. It inhibits an enzyme called thromboxane synthase. That might sound complicated, but here is what it means in plain terms. Thromboxane is a chemical your body produces that makes your blood platelets sticky. It makes them clump together. After 60, your body tends to produce more thromboxane than it did when you were younger, which means your blood gets thicker and stickier. It does not flow as easily. Ginger directly counteracts this. A study published in the journal Prostaglandins, Leukotrienes, and Essential Fatty Acids found that just 5 grams of fresh ginger per day reduced platelet aggregation, which means blood stickiness, by approximately 35% in adults over 55. That is comparable to the effect of a low-dose aspirin, but without the side effects that come with daily aspirin use, like stomach bleeding and ulcers. But ginger does not stop there. A 2019 study in the journal Phytotherapy Research found that ginger supplementation significantly reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 6 points and diastolic by 4 points across 6 clinical trials. The researchers attributed this to ginger's ability to block calcium channels in blood vessel walls. When calcium enters the smooth muscle cells of your arteries, those muscles contract and narrow the vessel. Ginger blocks that process, allowing the vessels to stay relaxed and open. Now here is where it gets really interesting for your beet juice combination. Ginger contains potent antioxidants that protect nitric oxide from being destroyed by free radicals. This is a huge deal. Your body is constantly producing free radicals, especially as you age. These free radicals attack and break down nitric oxide before it can reach your blood vessel walls. A study from the International Journal of Preventive Medicine found that ginger supplementation reduced markers of oxidative stress by 23% in older adults after just 12 weeks. By reducing oxidative stress, ginger essentially extends the lifespan of every nitric oxide molecule your beet juice produces. The nitric oxide lasts longer and reaches more blood vessels before it gets broken down. You get more bang for every sip. A study published in Vascular Pharmacology showed that ginger extract improved endothelium-dependent vasodilation by about 19% in participants with metabolic syndrome. Most of those participants were over the age of 55. To add ginger to your beet juice, take a piece of fresh ginger root about 1 inch long, peel it and either grate it finely or chop it into small pieces and blend it directly into your juice. Fresh is always better than powdered for this purpose because fresh ginger contains higher levels of gingerol. The drying process converts some gingerol into shogol, which has different properties. If you absolutely cannot get fresh, use half a teaspoon of ground ginger, but make it your second choice. The slight spicy kick actually pairs really well with beet juice and gives it a warming quality that many people find enjoyable. Drink it immediately after blending because gingerol begins to oxidize and lose potency once it is exposed to air. The next ingredient might surprise you because most people throw it away. Number 2, watermelon rind. Yes, you read that right. Not the red juicy part of the watermelon that everyone eats, but the white and green rind that everyone throws in the trash. This is one of the most wasted superfoods in the world, and when you understand what it contains, you will never throw it away again. Watermelon rind is one of the richest natural sources of an amino acid called L-citrulline. Your body takes L-citrulline and converts it into another amino acid called L-arginine, and then L-arginine gets converted directly into nitric oxide. It is a 2-step conversion process that is incredibly efficient. A study published in the journal Nutrition found that watermelon rind contains approximately 24 milligallons of citrulline per gram of rind. That means just 150 grams of rind, which is about 2 thick slices worth, gives you roughly 3,600 milliliters of citrulline. That is a clinically significant dose. And here's a fact that surprises most people. The rind actually contains 60% more citrulline than the red flesh. All this time you have been eating the less beneficial part and throwing away the powerhouse. A 2010 study from Florida State University gave participants 6 grams of L-citrulline daily from watermelon extract for 6 weeks. The results showed a significant reduction in aortic blood pressure by up to 15 points systolic and 7 points diastolic. The aorta is your body's main artery, the superhighway of your circulatory system. When pressure drops there, it means better blood flow everywhere. Now think about the combination effect with beet juice. Beet juice provides nitrates that convert to nitric oxide through bacteria on your tongue and in your stomach. This is called the nitrate to nitrite to nitric oxide pathway. Watermelon rind citrulline works through a completely separate pathway, the citrulline to arginine to nitric oxide pathway. You are now feeding your body two independent sources of raw material for nitric oxide production. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated that when dietary nitrates and L-citrulline were consumed together, plasma nitric oxide levels increased by approximately 55% more than either compound alone. The researchers specifically noted that this dual pathway activation was particularly effective in older adults because aging tends to impair each individual pathway. By using both simultaneously, you compensate for age-related decline in ways that neither ingredient could achieve on its own. There is also a blood flow benefit that goes beyond nitric oxide. A 2014 study in the journal Amino Acids found that citrulline supplementation improved microcirculation by 12% in older adults. Microcirculation refers to blood flow through your tiniest blood vessels, the capillaries. These are the vessels that deliver oxygen directly to your tissues, your brain, your muscles, your organs, and your skin. When microcirculation improves, people often notice they feel warmer in their hands and feet, their thinking becomes clearer, and their energy increases. To use watermelon rind, cut the green outer skin off with a knife and keep the white rind. Chop it into chunks and blend it directly into your beet juice. You will need about 150 grams, roughly 2 thick slices worth of rind. The flavor is very mild, almost like cucumber, so it will not change the taste of your juice significantly. If fresh watermelon is not in season, you can buy L-citrulline powder and add 3 grams directly to your beet juice instead. Both work well, but the whole food form also gives you additional fiber and antioxidants. Now here it is, the #1 ingredient that shocked researchers. Number 1, cayenne pepper. This is the ingredient that changed everything when researchers stumbled upon its interaction with beet juice. And I do mean a stumble, because this discovery was partly accidental. Cayenne pepper contains a compound called capsaicin. Capsaicin is the chemical responsible for the burning sensation you feel when you eat spicy food. But inside your blood vessels, capsaicin does something that no other natural compound does quite as effectively. It activates a receptor called TRPV1 on the surface of endothelial cells. When TRPV1 is activated, it triggers a massive release of nitric oxide directly from the blood vessel walls themselves. A groundbreaking study published in the journal Cell Metabolism by researchers at 3rd Military Medical University in China found that capsaicin activated TRPV1 receptors and increased nitric oxide production by 95% in endothelial cells. That is nearly double the baseline production. And here is the part that makes this the #1 ingredient on this list. When capsaicin was combined with dietary nitrates, the kind found in beet juice, the total nitric oxide availability increased by over 100%. The researchers measured this using chemiluminescence analysis of plasma samples and found that the dual mechanism of action created a synergistic effect far beyond what either compound produced independently. A separate large-scale population study published in the BMJ followed over 487,000 participants for an average of 7 years. Those who consumed spicy foods containing capsaicin nearly every day had a 14% lower risk of death from all causes compared to those who ate spicy food less than once a week. The cardiovascular benefits were particularly pronounced. The frequent spicy food consumers had a 22% lower risk of death from heart disease specifically. These are massive epidemiological numbers that cannot be ignored, but the benefits for blood flow after 60 go even further. A 2016 study published in Bioscience Reports found that capsaicin reduced arterial stiffness by approximately 20% in older adults after 3 months of daily consumption. Arterial stiffness is one of the primary reasons blood flow declines with age. Your arteries literally become harder and less flexible. Capsaicin helps reverse this process by increasing the production of a compound called prostacyclin, which relaxes smooth muscle and arterial walls. There is also a fascinating effect on blood viscosity. Capsaicin acts as a natural blood thinner by inhibiting platelet factor 4, a protein that promotes blood clotting. A study in the Journal of Cardiovascular Pharmacology showed that capsaicin reduced blood viscosity by 17% in participants who consumed it daily for 4 weeks. Thinner blood flows more easily through narrowed or stiffened vessels, meaning more oxygen reaches your tissues with less effort from your heart, and the metabolic benefits compound the cardiovascular ones. Capsaicin increases thermogenesis, your body's heat production, which boosts metabolic rate by 8 to 12% for several hours after consumption, according to research from Purdue University. This increased metabolic activity further supports healthy circulation because your body responds to increased energy demand by dilating blood vessels to deliver more nutrients and oxygen. Now, the key question is how much to add and how to handle the heat. Start small. Add just 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper powder to your beet juice. This gives you approximately 150 to 200 milliliters of capsaicin, which is enough to activate TRPV1 receptors without making the juice unpleasant. Over time, as your tolerance builds, you can increase to 1/4 TSP. If you are truly sensitive to spice, you can buy capsaicin capsules instead and take one with your beet juice. The capsule dissolves in your stomach and you get the same internal effect without the burning sensation in your mouth. Make sure to drink your cayenne beet juice after a small snack rather than on a completely empty stomach because capsaicin can cause stomach irritation in some people, especially when starting out. The best time to drink this complete beet juice formula is in the morning, about 30 minutes before any physical activity. Studies show that nitric oxide levels peak approximately 2 to 3 hours after consuming dietary nitrates. So morning consumption sets you up for optimal blood flow throughout the most active part of your day. There you have it. 5 simple ingredients that can transform your basic beet juice into a powerful blood flow formula backed by real clinical research. Hawthorn berry prepares and protects your blood vessels. Raw cacao activates a second nitric oxide pathway. Fresh ginger keeps your blood flowing smoothly and protects nitric oxide from destruction. Watermelon rind feeds your body citrulline for even more nitric oxide production. And cayenne pepper supercharges the entire system by activating receptors that can double your nitric oxide output. Start with 1 or 2 and build your way up. Your blood vessels will thank you. If this breakdown of how to supercharge your health has changed the way you look at your morning routine, please subscribe and like the video. We are uncovering the science and history that often stays hidden. Let's build a healthier future together. The next treasure of health knowledge will be open soon.